Well, here we are then, the final race of the weekend in the GB4 Championship. Piers Prior, it's the reverse grid race. We've seen some epic races here throughout the last couple of, the 18 months that the GB4 Championship's been going. I mean, everything is reversed here. Obviously, that's why it's called the reverse grid race. It means slower drivers are further forward. It means that the faster drivers are behind. We see more overtaking. I have a feeling that Cooper Webster and Tom Mills, who we saw battling in that second race earlier on, they're going to be making their way through the field. I reckon they'll be doing it maybe side by side, to racing each other while they race everyone else.
Yeah, earlier on today we saw the GB3 reverse grid race and it put on an absolutely great show, and I'm hoping for the same thing again. It is worth pointing out that it is a reverse grid of all those that were within 103% of the fastest time in qualifying. So I believe Dylan Hodgkin and Thomas Lee are actually still starting at the back. Yes. And it looks like Jack Clifford's probably going to be on pole position. But yeah, looking forward to a reverse grid race, brings the pack together. Yeah, it's going to be great.
It was really, really entertaining. Obviously, Cooper Webster has been really, really strong, as we've seen throughout the season, really, the Australian getting to grips with things. And you said just before we started the show, maybe the heat's helping him, because being Australian, I mean, if you're in Australia right now, it's probably a little bit cooler because it's the winter. But I mean, it could help him, more familiar conditions.
Yeah, he's done a lot of his real car racing. Of course, we know he does a lot of sim racing, but he's done a lot of his real car racing in Australia, in different cars, but single-seaters. And of course, Australia is generally quite a bit hotter than the UK. I've never been, so that's just what I hear. But
I've been, it was very warm.
Yes, but it might just be... And basically, I'm looking for a reason why this weekend I feel like he's definitely taken a step forward. I really feel like he's sort of moved on a bit, and he's been probably the fastest this weekend. He proved that in qualifying with the fastest qualifying time. He, of course, won race 1 and then race 2. He was right on the tail of Tom Mills, but from the mistake on the first lap into Wilson, I think he would have won the race.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't have 2 new tyres in that one, I just spoke to Tom Mills as well. Tom was like, yeah, I reckon he was faster than me. I just kept him behind me for the whole race. So definitely the Evans GP team and Cooper Webster made a step forward, and potentially with the hotter conditions it might have been helping him just because he's a bit more used to it, and maybe the way the car handles and the way that the tyres interact with the circuit might be helping him in that regard.
Well, look, on that note, we are outside the KMR Sport awning, and it seems like we should probably ask their Australian driver about the conditions. So we'll bring Jack Clifford in. Come in between us here, Jack. We were just talking and saying maybe Cooper Webster's appreciating the hotter conditions because it's like back home. Is this anything like back home?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of at home. It's quite a bit more humid. It's a bit more sticky, but the sun and the heat reminds me a lot of home, and it's really good. Get out of the car and I'm not sweating as much as my British teammate Tom.
I bet it's a bit different to like pre-season testing when it's like 10 degrees. It takes like 10 laps for the tyres to come in. I bet obviously in Australia you drive out the circuit, do a warm-up lap and you're ready to go. It's kind of a bit like that. The tyres are they starting to go off a little bit towards the end of the race in this heat?
Yeah, the tyres, they pick up quick, they turn on really quick, and they also turn off pretty quick with the heat. So it wasn't that long ago when pre-season testing was, the tracks had snow on the side of them and we were trying to get temp in the wet tyres, and now we're here and it's 25, 30 degrees. So it's, tyres turn on very quick but also drop off very quick.
Yeah, so we mentioned just a moment ago, of course, that because of the 103% rule, we believe that you are starting on pole position for the reverse grid, barring any last-minute changes. Good opportunity for you to have a good race, mate.
Yeah, definitely, because qualifying's been my weak point. I always move forward in the race, but qualifying I haven't got down pat yet. So we're starting off pole position for this race here, so do the best start that I can, see if I'm able to get a gap initially, and just drive how I've been taught to drive, give it everything, and I'll either pull away from some, and then towards the end of the race, like Cooper and Tom might be coming through the field, and then I might have to make the car pretty wide.
Yeah, exactly, and of course we were just chatting off camera about the starts as well. Of course, pole position, probably one of the most important starts you've had this year so far. I'm sure you've had a few tips from Tom. He's had some pretty good starts this weekend. Is it as soon as you get off the line, then it's just going to be head down and not looking in the mirrors, or are you going to be seeing who's behind you? What's the tactic?
Oh, it'll be eyes forward, head down from the formation lap, getting the tyres in right, and then eyes on the lights, and then probably won't look in my mirror as much in this next race.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, Jack, we've got to talk about this because I saw on your Instagram now you've obviously moved across from Australia. It turns out Jack weirdly is staying in the little village where I went to primary school, near a village hall. I went and did all kinds of like Christmas nativities and all kinds of things in, which was a little bit weird for me. But it's a very rural area. I mean, why did you come to be in rural Herefordshire?
Well, I always wanted to be close to the workshop. So Kevin's based in Gloucester, and I was looking for places to live around Gloucester. I couldn't find any places that ticked the criteria that I had, and the closest border call was Herefordshire. So I found a beautiful place there to live, and I'm here for the full season for about 8 or 9 months. So yeah, found that place in Herefordshire, bought a car so that I'm able to go to the workshop and make my way to racetracks and things like that. So it's worked out really well.
I've got to ask, which car have you got?
So just as I landed in the country and I was researching a bit of what to buy and where, pretty much straight away I bought a 2001 Honda Accord. It's the VTEC engine in it, and it hasn't skipped a beat. So I bought it pretty much as soon as I landed, and it's been my trusty steed to get me from racetracks and home and test days, and it hasn't skipped a beat. So I love the Honda.
I'm impressed that you can move across the world, go and buy yourself a car at such a young age. I mean, that you're seeing the world, and you're maybe having to grow up fast.
I've definitely had to grow up fast because before I came to England, the longest that I'd been away from my parents was probably a week, and that was probably a school camp. So moving 18,000 kilometres away and living on my own, I've had to put my big boy pants on. So I still video call them every day. I love talking to them and my siblings. But yeah, I've definitely had to grow up fast and get a car, do my shopping, do my washing, and grow up pretty quick, which has been... Motorsport is not only teaches you a lot of stuff on the track, but how to be tough and be a man off the track as well, in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, it does, and we're all very impressed. And it's nice to know that off the track, your car is holding up, and on the track, also your GB4 car is doing well with KMR Sport. Jack, thanks for finding some time to chat to us before this reverse grid race. We kind of talked about race 2 a lot earlier on. Let's see the highlights from that race.
Highlights from round 11 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. We'll get underway with 3 stallers on the grid. Unfortunately for those, they would drop back. Harry Burgoyne Jr., Liam McNeely and Dylan Hodgkin for the back of the field. They get back going again and will remain themselves in the race. By the time we got through the first corner, though, the rest of the top contingent were absolutely fine. However, Cooper Webster coming down into the hairpin, going in a little bit too wide and a little bit too deep, courtesy of a front right lockup, and it was Tom Mills that would sweep round the inside to take the lead. It would be then Cooper Webster and then Colin Queen, as we'd seen previously before, as we were having the battle between Fairbairn and, of course, Lucas Blakely. Fairbairn getting his way through up into 4th position, Lucas Blakely dropping back into 5th, with Sid Smith over the rear end as well, looking for his opportunity to pass the Formula 1 Esports World Champion. However, once he did get through, there was a battle between the 2 Fox Motorsports teammates. It was Liam McNeely making his way past Sid Smith on his recovery drive up the order. Fantastic catch from Cooper Webster going through the first corner, almost losing the rear end, but was able to catch it and then was able to set fast laps to catch back up to Tom Mills and almost getting past. Would he get an opportunity before the end of the race? We would have to wait and see, as there was the issue for Fairbairn having to defend now from Liam McNeely on his recovery drive. Into the final corner of the race, McNeely would be down the inside. It would open the opportunity for Sid Smith to come through, and it would be 4th and 5th in the race for Fox Motorsports, but they were behind these 3 once again. Tom Mills across the line to take yet another victory, Cooper Webster in 2nd, and it was Colin Queen in 3rd position. Yet another fantastic drive from Tom Mills. He is our championship leader on 330 points. It is 86 clear of Cooper Webster. Liam McNeely in 3rd, with Colin Queen and Jeremy Fairbairn rounding out the top 5. Quite a large gap back to Harry Burgoyne Jr. and then Harry Reynolds in 7th position. Not here this round. Aditya Kulkarni, Ruhan Alva and Jack Clifford rounding out the top 10. Behind those in the championship, we have Sid Smith, again having some good pace, having some good showings, finishing 5th in that previous race. What can he do, as we see Josh Irfan, then Dylan Hodgkin, Thomas Lee, Jason Konzo and Kai Dirianani rounding out the 16 drivers.
Down here at the Evans GP awning once again, and we've got Thomas Lee. Thomas, final race of the weekend coming up now, the reverse grid is a good opportunity for you to potentially make some moves.
Wow, that's a very good question. I know we were talking about that at the grid and with the team. Honestly, I'm the type of person that don't talk much and just try to
do.
Correct. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it's kind of pointless to talk about that right now because I just don't want that pressure to kind of stay in my mind.
I get it.
So yeah.
But you're looking forward to a good race regardless. Like, it'll be good fun on circuit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I do have to say that even though I have a family back in Taiwan and 2 beautiful kids, but I do. I mean, beyond passion for this motorsports, like I still try my hardest to perform, right?
Of course.
So I mean, definitely looking forward for Silverstone. And for anyone that's watching, I'm actually bringing my kids here.
Oh, amazing! That would be amazing to meet them.
So please brainwash them for motorsports.
Absolutely, absolutely, I will. But talking about that, you said it's 6 weeks of Silverstone. You're going to bring your kids, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You're a busy man.
Yes.
6 weeks between now and then. Surely
Yes.
you're going to be getting up to quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So I definitely gonna do a lot of sim. I already know that.
Nice.
Josh has been yelling at me for that.
Yeah.
Like literally, we're just kind of going through data right now, and he's like, well, you can definitely take advantage of your sim, and get better, And so I was like, okay, all right, it sounds fair. And I mean, the sim's already set it up, ready to go. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna put a lot of more time on it. So.
But also, we know you're a busy man. You run businesses. Is that what you're going to be concentrating on mostly as well?
Yeah.
Talk to us about your schedule between races.
Well, I do have to say, it's very hectic. I don't even want to go there. but I say that I'm going to try to. Well, even for this past weekend, I tried to be very consistent in terms of practicing on sim, like literally like every day. I try to pull out like at least like an hour or so to constantly practicing and whatnot, just to get a very good memorization of Snetterton. So, I mean, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Even though I don't have the experience from last race from Silverstone, but apparently that's not enough, right? So I'm hopefully
always do more.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to put a lot more time on it, and I mean that's the goal. And the same thing for Brent's Hatch, and Donington as well. So 3 more rounds. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and yeah.
Brilliant. Thomas, thanks for chatting to us. We hope you have fun in the last race. It'll be great to catch up with you and your kids at the next round at Silverstone.
Thank you.
The Snetterton circuit in Norfolk has been a test for all drivers in Great Britain over the last 70 or so years. Opened in 1951, first raced in 1953. It's gone through variations over that time, including the current layout that we have, the Snetterton 300, which was opened in 2011, making that inner section where you've got the likes of Agostini and Hamilton and Oggies. It's a very difficult circuit, one that certainly from an elevation standpoint doesn't look too testing, but from a race circuit standpoint certainly is so. 2.9 miles around, just a shy under 3 miles, and you can see very little elevation, but that means nothing on this circuit. It is tricky, it is testing, it has some brutal corners, the likes of Agostini, the likes of Brundle into Nelson, Coram into Murray's. That final section is what creates this circuit to be such a test and such a great overtaking circuit.
Let's ride on board the GB4 car around the Snetterton 300 circuit with our pole sitter for race number 1, Cooper Webster. Reaches the first corner, just a lift into here, almost 140 miles an hour on the entry and slowing down just a little bit through the middle, then all the road on the exit. We're going to brake late and hard on the downhill run to the Wilson hairpin. Missed the first part of the apex to cut back for a good exit. Watch track limits on the exit there. We're now making our way to the right-hand side of the circuit for Palmer's, where you can go in quite early because it's banked on the exit. Car moving around a little bit in the middle of the corner, showing how hard he is pushing. Next corner is Agostini, another hairpin, left this time. Again, a late apex, so we'll miss the first part and cut back for a good exit as we make our way towards Hamilton's. Hamilton's is narrow and tightens on the exit. Full commitment through here, as close to the tyres as we can get at the apex there, and then watch out for the curb on the exit. Again, don't run wide. Bumpy braking zone through Oggies, and the corner goes right, and right again. Again, bumpy on the exit. Now Williams, potentially the most important corner on the circuit as it opens out onto the long Bentley straight. Again, watch track limits on the exit. Your lap times will be deleted in qualifying and in the races. Now, over half a mile down towards Brundle Corner, we're going to be braking directly underneath the bridge, down 3 gears. Watch this, braking hard, in early, down 3 gears as we then keep left to open up the right of Nelson. Again, watching track limits on the exit. We are completely flat until the last corner now, flat out through the bomb hole. Car bottoms out in the middle. And then Coram, which is purely a positioning exercise for the last corner. Completely flat out round here, car moves around a lot, and then braking and turning at the same time for Murray's. Get it in early, get on the curb, and flat out on the exit for a complete lap around the Snetterton 300 circuit in the Evans GP car that put it on pole position with our driver Cooper Webster.
Well, I'm now here at Team Hodgkin. Richard, Dylan, father and son. We'll get onto that in a minute, but I mean, it's been a couple of tricky rounds for you. Let's start at Donington. I mean, just remind people what happened there, and I mean all the excellent work you put in overnight.
Yeah, we had a bit of a roller coaster at Donington. We damaged the chassis and we had to change it through the night. So the team worked really hard to get that back on the track, and we didn't really get justice for that because obviously our team, our guys, they don't know the Formula 4 chassis at all, and we did it all ourselves, and we got there in the end, but it just wasn't quite on pin for getting it round and finishing a race. So Dylan obviously has done a lot of work over the 2-3 weeks in between the two rounds, and we've got the car somewhere near now, and we think, well, this is a development year, so we think we've actually got a very close setup that Dylan likes, that we can now work on, and I think that's proven it. We've gone from sort of 10 seconds behind on lap times to now 3.5 seconds. We're getting closer and closer to the pack, which is good. And yeah, I think we're happy where we are, and we're happy with the support that we're getting, certainly from GB4. You know, we can't fault that. And the whole of the paddock, you know, we've had a lot of help.
And those improvements in motorsports terms are absolutely huge. Dylan, how are you feeling in the car at the moment? Because obviously, you know, as your dad just said, it's a kind of development year, and things, you know, sometimes make quick progress, and sometimes things are a little bit slower.
Yeah, I'm finding it all right. I'm learning tracks, learning the car. It's very hard to learn the car with all the downforce and just braking late into corners. I'm not used to it at all. It's a totally different driving technique to tin tops, but I'm happy with it. I love the sport, love the car. It's one of the best cars I've drove, so yeah.
How have you felt this weekend at Snetterton? Because obviously, you know, we've been to Donington, we've been to Silverstone already, and Alton Park, of course, to start the season. But you know, where does Snetterton sort of rank in your rating of tracks?
It's not my favourite track. I put it out there for starters, but it's a technical track. You've got to be brave and you've got to have the power. Like, I'm not late enough on the brakes at the minute, which I'm learning, but you've got to be really late on the brakes around here, or you're just losing seconds. You've
got to have that faith, I guess, to be late on the brakes, and if it's all new to you, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Silverstone, you know, coming up next, do you feel that because you've already raced there this season, that will be one where you can actually, you know, these improvements have been slow and steady, but you've made huge jumps in terms of lap times, that actually Silverstone is going to be really interesting to see that improvement, you know, put down compared to last time?
Yeah, I feel really confident about Silverstone. I feel like I've learnt a lot from here. Like, first corner here, it's a bit like first corner at Silverstone, really. So it's one of them. It's quite a good track to learn from here to go to Silverstone, and then we could hopefully smash it at Silverstone.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's coming up in 6 weeks' time. Obviously, got the reverse grid race coming up in a little while. I've got to ask you this now. It's Father's Day. You know, a lot of kids have their fathers around, mums, families. There's a lot of pressure going on. Have there been any blow-ups? Have we had any arguments so far this year?
We don't fall out. We don't fall out. We growl at each other every now and then, but we don't fall out. Look, this is a very much family-orientated team. We're using the young engineers, and we just get on with it. You know, we get on with it. We face a lot of hard challenges through this season, but we're getting there. You know, and we don't fall out. We just smile and wave.
Excellent stuff. Well, look, best of luck with this reverse grid race. We'll catch up with you again at Silverstone. I'm sure it'll be really interesting to see the progress you can make between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
We're back with Max Maserati. We're now down at Williams Corner, which is probably one of the most important corners on the circuit. It's a long corner, comes off the back of Oggies, which is quite technical, but as you can see, rolls out onto the long Bentley straight. Max, tell us why it's so critical.
If you get this wrong, you're probably either going to be passed. You know, that's the most likely thing. If you get it wrong, you're going to be passed. But also, where the curbs are on the exit, if you actually run a little bit too wide and get again on that green part, it'll lift the front up, and it could actually do the tub, which is the most integral part of the race.
Do some damage to it.
Once that's damaged, your weekend's basically over unless you can basically replace the tub. It's a lot of work for the mechanics.
Yeah, and it's actually quite a technical corner because it's almost sort of just over 90 degrees, and the apex, as you can see here, is very long, and you're in the corner for quite a long time. It's slightly off camber, as you can kind of see, and it kind of drags you off the circuit as well, especially if you're right behind someone.
Exactly, and you have the bumps on the exit as well. So just when you think you're at the exit and you're safe, you suddenly hit these bumps, and you really feel it in the car, and you can see it on the onboards of cars with the steering as they suddenly get dragged as they come through to the exit here. But that's also how you know you've done it right. If you get right out to the red and white part of the curbs, but just not over it, that's when you've nailed this corner.
Yeah. And also, just John Jackson mentioned a moment ago, there's quite a lot of what he called guff on the outside of the circuit. Talk to us about what all this has out here and how that might affect you if you end up on it.
If you end up on it, I think really it's game over for down the straight. It's so hard though to get a good enough run out of the corner before to get up the inside here. I think we only really saw it once last year where Mills and Sherwood were battling, and that allowed me to then get up the inside of Sherwood. And then as we saw, once he was on the outside here, you know, being on the inside enough, you're going to be understeering with the speed that you carried through. I had like maximum lock on the steering, and I ran to the white line, and Sherwood, who's on my outside, just had no chance of staying on.
Yeah, and again, it's another one of those corners that really rubbers up. I'm hoping you can get this, but my feet are literally sticking to the circuit, so that's what happens over the race weekend. You have to make sure you get on that rubber, don't you?
Exactly, and that's also why, though, when it rains, you want to be right on the white line on the exit, to where all the guff is. You want to be right where that is to be able to carry that speed and not be where all this rubber is, where you're just going to slide off.
Brilliant. Right, let's move on. We are down at the final section of the Snetterton 300 circuit, Max. We're going through Coram, which is that long, long left-hander that goes on forever, and then into Murray's, I believe, which is the last corner. It's probably one of the most difficult sections of circuits. You're braking and turning at the same time.
Yeah, this is extremely challenging. It's so tough. You know, when we came here on the Thursday, you know, I was saying to the guys, it's like one of the hardest corners to get right around here, especially because it feels so flowing, that last sector, until you get to this point. So you come out of the left right under the bridge, and effectively you're on full throttle there all the way now until about here, where you start to see the boards, the black boards. And the thing is, like, GB4 doesn't have as much downforce as GB3, so you're still relying a lot on mechanical grip. So what you have to do is start blending out the throttle really, like, not really early, but, you know, gently, yeah. And it's really soft. If you like go harsh, you're already on the limit of the front tires. So if you go harsh and, you know, you're all going to be steering right, you're effectively just going to tell the car to do this, and it will go right. And you're going to have these big oversteer moments. So you have to come out the throttle really gently, and then into the braking zone, you're doing the opposite of what you do at any other corner. When, you know, we tell them to have high peaks and then bleed out of the brake.
On a normal corner.
Exactly, yeah. Rather, into a corner like this, it's much more like you would if you were coming to stop at the traffic lights, where you're like pressing the brake on. But of course, you know, that doesn't mean you do that early. You're still maximising the braking zone. And this is where it gets really tricky, because you're coming into here, steering, blending out of the throttle, nicely on the brake. And as you can see, the circuit actually wants to go more to the right, even though it's a left-hander. So you have to get the line right, so you're just nicely pointed to the corner, where you can then come out the brakes, ease back onto the power, and maximise the exit here, which leads you all the way down the straight. You know, and your first, again, real braking zone is the hairpin. So you can really make or break a race here. Yeah, and exactly. It's one of the long straights, or the longest straights on the circuit here in the Bentley Straight, of course. So again, critical for lap time. Exactly.
Well, Piers, we're down here in assembly looking at Jack Clifford's car. Great to hear from him a little bit earlier. Hello to Andrew, his dad, on Father's Day, watching back in Australia. Was over for the last round at Donington Park, and great to catch up with him. And I know he'll be very, very proud of Jack, whatever he does in this race. But, you know, starting on pole position, so a great chance for him to finally sort of, you know, get that result he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about it before the race earlier on, and he was feeling G'd up, ready for it, and he looks focused and pretty much ready to go. So I'm looking forward to see how he gets on, but it's not going to make it easy, because we've got Adi Kulkarni and Sid Smith right there waiting to hopefully jump, well, they're thinking hopefully jump him at the start.
Yeah, well, we're looking at Adi Kulkarni just here, who I know you caught up with earlier on, and you know, we know what he can do. He's a very impressive young driver as well. But I feel like Sid Smith, you know, he's looked pretty quick in that second race. He was putting it about the track here at Snetterton. So I feel like, you know, the third place driver on this grid is probably the one to perhaps to watch out for in the Fox Motorsports car. Just taking a look at it here. Very nice car. That it's very striking. With the green, blue, the colour of the Fox orange. I mean, we're going to talk about the conditions, Piers. I've been saying all day, by this race I thought we'd have rain, and actually, you know, it's considerably colder. There is a bit of a wind here, but that's probably just normal for Snetterton. But I think we're probably just going to miss the rain, because I can't see any rain clouds around.
No, this cloud is very, very high at the moment, so I don't think there's any imminent rain unless it's a localised shower, but I think it's unlikely. It's definitely cooler than it was earlier, and the wind has picked up somewhat, so we're going to have a bigger tailwind into turn number one, and also a bit more of a headwind into down the Bentley Straight towards Nelson, Brundle and Nelson, so could change the way that they need to drive the circuit. Potentially some people will be going wide at turn one on the first and second lap if they haven't quite got their head around the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Jeremy Fairbairn, we can see in the red and white car, number 87, just through here, driving with Graham Brunton Racing for the first time this weekend, having moved from KMR Sport. you know, a good position for him. It's not the hugest grid here in the GB4 Championship this weekend, with a couple of drivers missing out this round, the Elite Motorsports drivers. And, you know, he's going to want to end the weekend with a positive result. But he's got Liam McNeely behind in the number 48 Fox Motorsports car. And, you know, Liam's very, very quick and certainly has been challenging, maybe not for race wins every time, but he's certainly been challenging the drivers around him, which I think, you know, shows that he's really getting to grips with this GB4 car.
Yeah, I think he's probably the fastest driver in the top 6, and that would make sense. Of course, it's a reverse grid, but like I think he's definitely got the pace advantage over everyone else. We saw in race 2 him come up in race 1, nearly took Harry Burgoyne Jr. So I think he's got some decent pace. He'll be looking to make some moves, I think, as well. It's really hard to call a winner in this one. I don't think I could call one person that's a standout for me, because also, you know, not much further back, you got the likes of Lucas Blakely, of course, the new driver for KMR Sport this weekend in the 88 over there, and he's of course had some good pace. He was 4th fast in qualifying, and then
Junior we're watching here.
Yeah, of course,
certainly shown that he's getting to grips with things as well.
Very much so.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. You know, KMR Sport have had a decent weekend so far. It's Father's Day. Kevin Mills, the big boss man, is just standing to the left of our cameraman there, just deep in conversation. I've been told, you know, he's happier than he looks. I mean, that's for his daughter, right? So you know what, actually, as it's Father's Day, we're going to turn left and we're going to come over here to this little pink golf buggy, because why not? And we're going to chat to Caitlin Hodgkin. We've heard from Dylan Hodgkin. You know, Richard's been telling us about Donington. Come on, you've chatted to us before. I mean, I love this to start off with. Did you pimp this ride?
No, I didn't. It was my mum.
Your mum pimped this ride?
Yeah, she got a bit carried away, I'm not going to lie.
Right, it's Father's Day, but we've got to shout out the mum. What's your mum's name?
Claire.
Okay, shout out to Claire. I like what she's done here. I like the pink here. We've even got, cameraman, come closer. Look at this. We've got the pink trim in here, pink steering shaft, and we've got what looks like some kind of pink, right, or I was going to say roadkill, but
yeah,
you know, maybe.
same thing.
Okay,
So
good. Well, I like this. And Dylan Hodgkin Racing on the front, of course.
Yeah.
We've heard from your brother. What have you done for your dad for Father's Day?
We bought him a bottle of wine, gave him a card, that's about it.
Just the usual stuff.
Yeah, bought some stuff from the parts truck. I mean...
Well, some new parts of the car, but it looks like, I mean, you know, he could crack into that wine later. Look, thanks for chatting to us. Looks like the cars are going out. Caitlin Hodgkin and the crew there from Dylan Hodgkin Racing. I mean, talking about Father's Day, we've also got, you know, Kevin Mills' daughter just walking in front of us here. We won't grab her because it looks like the cars are going out, Piers. But if the rain does come down, we've got a lot of drivers who maybe aren't as experienced. I mean, what was your one word of advice? It's too late, we can't talk to them.
Yes.
What would your one word of advice be if you're a rookie driver, as a lot of these guys are, if the rain starts coming down mildly heavy here?
Keep out of trouble, because if you don't crash, you'll probably make up quite a lot of places.
Yeah, and these tyres, we look at the tyres here just in the shot. I mean, they are obviously slick tyres. How much rain can you really deal with? You know, how heavy does it need to be before you need to really be changing tyres?
Any moisture on the circuit and the grip level drops like, you know, off the planet. So it's I don't think it's going to rain in this one, but you know, it's definitely be interesting if it does have a sprinkle during the race, because then everyone's in the same boat and it's pretty much how much risk do you want to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take a look at your prediction, right? I always leave to the end of the weekend. A reverse grid race is where it's at with a Piers Pryor hot pick. What do you reckon? Jack Clifford starting on pole position for KMR Sport, Adi Kulkarni second, Sid Smith for Fox Motorsports third, Ruan Alva also behind, and Jeremy Fairburn, who we've mentioned. I mean, I'm going to go for Sid Smith in the Fox Motorsports car. That's the blue, green and orange one you can just see in the background there, number 99. What do you reckon, Piers? Come on, you're the driver.
It's so hard to call. I think it'll be who gets a good start and potentially pulls away. I'd love to see a Jack Clifford win. I think for a pole position it'll be a very popular win, but I think on pace, I think Liam McNeely, we've seen him come through the field a couple of times this weekend. I think Liam McNeely is my pick for the win in this one. We'll see what happens. It could be any of them. Again, not a massive grid and the gaps aren't too big, and of course with the reverse grid anyone can come through and take the win.
And just mentioning obviously Tom Mills, another great weekend for him, 86 points in the lead at the top of the GB4 Championship for him, and you know, we've had questions over whether he's going to complete the season. Obviously making up places in this race gets you points. You know, he's that back down there, you know, fourth from last starting there. I mean, he could really add to his lead, couldn't he? Because it all depends. I mean, Cooper Webster just behind him, you know, who's challenging for the title with him. But you know, Tom Mills could end the weekend with a 100-point gap at the top.
Oh, he could if he has a good race in this one. But all he has to do at this stage, after this race is the halfway point in the season, or over halfway, and to be honest, Tom Mills has got such a big gap at the moment. 35 for a race win in race 1 and 2, and 20 plus any bonus points in race 3. He can pretty much just follow Cooper Webster around for the rest of the season, or McNeely or anyone else, and not have any issues, and he'll come away at the end of the season with the championship. So he can potentially, with that lead, be a bit more reserved. He doesn't have to push.
No, not at all. Well, we're just waiting for the cars to go out here. I think we were expecting them to have gone out by now. It looks like things are getting ready, but maybe the man to our right wearing... I tell you what, we've got to talk about the marshals actually here at Snetterton.
Yes.
I think they are the most lively and biggest characters of UK racetracks. They've all got wacky hats. The fella on the gate, didn't catch his name earlier on, told us he'd been on a TV show once. We never found out which TV show it was. Fantastic hat there, but he is the gate manager. And I tried to get out of him what time he's opening the gate, and he's basically like, you know, he could be a politician. He just will not give a straight answer. So we're just waiting. But, you know, shout out to all the marshals and all the great work they do here, because obviously they mean that we can all go racing. And that is exactly what we're going to do right here at Snetterton. It's the reverse grid race in the GB4 Championship. As all the cars come out here, Jeremy Fairburn, number 87 in the red and white car, Ruhan Alba in shot there, Liam McNeely, followed by some of the fastest drivers, Harry Burgoyne Jr., Lucas Blakely there with Colin Queen. And here is your championship leader, Tom Mills, just coming out there, number 21 in the grey and blue KMR sport car. Interesting to see what happens in this one. For a final time here at Snetterton this weekend, let's go racing.
One final race then this weekend, and it has been a dramatic one. A big one for the champion, though, a big one for the championship leader. Tom Mills taking his 6th victory in 11 races. We have passed the halfway point, and he is in a strong position. 86 points in the championship lead of Cooper Webster. He is trying to get himself an entire round, an entire weekend clear of everyone. If he gets over 105 points, then he will have cleared that boundary. Obviously, he's got a lot of work to do in this race. Starting towards the back of the field, he'll have to work his way up the order. That's the joy of the reverse grid race. Obviously, he's got the likes of Cooper Webster around him, but let's take a look at the grid, including those from the head of it. Of course, the reverse grid's taken into effect, and it's Jack Clifford starting from pole position. Aditya Kulkarni starting alongside me. He has got some good pace in him in that Fortec Motorsports car, despite struggling in qualifying. Sid Smith finished in 5th position in the previous race. Jeremy Fairbairn was the driver he passed on the last lap to have done so, who starts from 4th. Ruhan Alva from 5th, with Liam McNeely, the winner of the previous reverse grid race back in Donington Park, starting from 6th. Then, as we roll our way down the order, 7th position, Harry Burgoyne Jr. A game-changing weekend for the Graham Brunton Racing driver. Could he get his first podium as he starts alongside Lucas Blakely in his first weekend in GB4 for the KMR Sport team. Then we get to the top 3 of the season so far. Colin Queen, Tom Mills, your championship leader in 10th, and of course Cooper Webster, who started from pole position back on Saturday morning, and of course the race earlier today, taking his first race victory as he starts alongside Dylan Hodgkin. The final driver on the grid will of course be Thomas Lee, starting from the 13th and final position. And wow, I've got to say, every time I get an interview, we see an interview with Thomas Lee, I can't get over how infectiously positive he is. But he's still going to go out there, going to try and put on a bit of a show for Evans GP, maybe even see his teammate work his way up the order. I will say Cooper Webster's very good at climbing up the order. Both Webster and Mills climbed up 9 positions in the previous reverse grid race, and so, you know, if they do that again, they'll be working their way up towards yet another podium. Of Of course, these are the races where, if you're Cooper Webster, these are the races where you can actually gain an awful lot of ground on the championship by just trying to gain those positions. It's been a hot day, it's been a thick day, it's been a muggy day out there on the circuit. We were hearing from Jack Clifford, he's saying, it's just like home in Australia, only it's a little bit more humid. See if he can win a race from pole position. I'm not sure myself. Who is it that you picked for a race victory?
I said Liam McNeely.
That's who I was going to go. I can't even back down there. I've already posted it on Discord.
You posted it on Discord. There we go. That's it. There you go. You can't go back on your word on Discord, can you, Lewis?
It's locked in. There's a load of people watching now thinking, what is Discord? All I'll say to you is it's not worth knowing. The thing is, one of the things that Clifford said in the interview that you two had with him was that his race pace is good. And I completely agree. His qualifying's a bit, he's been struggling, but he does have race pace.
He does. He's had good pace in the races so far. He's made moves. He's been there or thereabouts. He hasn't quite, he hasn't quite fully found his feet yet. I know that there's definitely more pace in that car driver combo that we'll definitely see as the season goes on. But this could be his opportunity if he gets away well. And it's all about the start, because as much as we've seen plenty of overtaking this weekend in GB4. If you get out in front and you don't make any mistakes, it does make it that much harder for anyone to get through, even if they do have a slight pace advantage.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, the rain has not come. It's a little overcast around the circuit, but it's certainly not wet. There's an aura that it might sprinkle a little bit, but rain, I don't think, is quite on the horizon. So Jack Clifford will pull into pole position alongside Adi Kulkarni, and then we get Sid Smith, who was started from third before. Remember, back in Silverstone, we had a great start through the middle and then had an issue with contact with the two Fortec drivers. What's he going to have on this one for the final race this weekend? Round number 12 in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Once again, 18 minutes goes on to the clock. A bit of a delay to the start now. You can hear them selecting first gear, getting ready with the clutch, getting ready for the start of the race. The second board is held out. Jack Clifford will start from pole position. Anyone crawling on the start? The answer to the question is just a little bit from Adi Kulkarni, but I think that'll be absolutely fine. He's actually had a decent second translation to the start, and it's Kulkarni that will take over the race lead from Clifford. On the race down towards the first corner, it's Fortec holding on to the race lead. Sid Smith defending from Fairbairn as Ruhan Alva is sending it around the outside to take fourth. He might even try for third as they come down into the Wilson hairpin. A great start from the number 15. A bit of a lock-up from Ruhan Alva. He should stay on the racetrack, but it might cost him a position to Fairbairn.
Yeah, Fairbairn's going to make that position up. Not the ideal start that Jack Clifford wanted. Kulkarni is now in the lead, and Sid Smith had a decent start and is now in third place, but we're seeing the rest of the positions being fought out. Tom Mills has already made some places up, and unfortunately Dylan Hodgkin has stopped it. Yeah, puncture. There's contact because the rear diffuser has also been damaged, so as we see quite a few cars locking up. That was Clifford and Sid Smith, so hopefully at least Dylan Hodgkin can get that car out of the way. It looks like he's getting to roll.
Someone then,
hopefully, his left rear suspension damage as well. It looks like if he went left, he could have headed out the way there. Oh, that is Alva going wide of the exit of Hamilton and hitting his floor hitting the curb and ended up someone else.
I think it's Ruhan Alva again. This does mean though with that damage that surely someone might have some front wing damage. We'll have to keep an eye on that one as going out wide. Oh my goodness me, Ruhan Alva's certainly having a couple of problems. Was that Colin Queen? I think it's Colin Queen actually having a couple of problems running wide as they head out onto the Bentley straight. We're looking at that puncture once again and take a look at this side by side. Ruhan Alva, that's Liam McNeely almost getting in there as well. I thought there might have been contact there between the two of them.
Very close, but we're also looking at the battle right behind these two as well, which is the battle that we had earlier on between Tom Mills and Cooper Webster, but that's sort of sorted itself out for now with Tom Mills in front, but that's Alva going around the outside. Oh, that's where the contact was between Lee and Hodgkin, so that's why they're both hobbled. But this battle is continuing on. Oh, Tom Mills clouted the curb at the last corner, and that's given him a poor exit, and here comes Cooper Webster.
Cooper Webster's going for it. Sorry for reaching a pitch that only dogs can hear after that little bit of a squeeze from Ruhan Alva to the outside of the first corner. Ruhan Alva giving a little bit of slipstream to Cooper Webster in that number 37 Evans Grand Prix car. Big slaps of oversteer from Tom Mills. Maybe struggling getting the tyres up to temperature. Cooper Webster's got back to the inside. The number 37. Yes, Sid Smith was going for a move in the foreground, but look at this one from Cooper Webster. He's second in the championship at the moment. That's a brilliant move going through the Wilson hairpin.
That is a textbook hairpin overtake. Get ahead by the apex, then get ahead far enough that you can squeeze the driver on the outside so they have to relinquish the position. Once you get to sort of 3/4 of the way past, the driver isn't really entitled to any space on the exit. Tom Mills won't mind too much because he knows he's a bit slower. than Cooper Webster at this stage, but he's got the big championship gap. But Cooper Webster with another exceptional move into Agostini here. But let's look at that again at the first lap.
Yeah, see where we come in there in the background. So I
yeah.
think it's just, to be fair, I think Dylan Hodgkin maybe got on the brakes, like been a bit cautious, and Thomas Lee not being with that a little bit. So obviously losing a front wing. The Evans Grand Prix team will replace the front wing on the 56. Doesn't mean we'll lose the number on it, but hey, they will get a new front wing put on his car. Meanwhile, his teammate is working his way up the order. It's been a fantastic start from Cooper Webster in that 37. Next one up the road for him is Liam McNeely, and to be perfectly honest, McNeely was saying that he definitely doesn't have the pace to take it to the likes of obviously Cooper Webster and Tom Mills here. He's still trying to get past Ruhan Alva with the up and under coming up towards Bombhole. He's halfway off the road as they head through Bombhole. Those tyres are going to be dirty. They're going to be slippy on the run through Coram.
Yeah, and now his teammate Colin Queen's looking up the inside. No, backed out of it. Yeah, Mills going all the way to the right-hand side. You can see how much dust is offline on the circuit, and that is Sid Smith having a little lock up into the last corner. That won't help his exit out of there down the long centre straight.
Yeah, certainly was Sid Smith. You can see here he might actually lose out of position again. These two were in a bit of a fight with McNeely in the previous race. McNeely and Sid Smith came out ahead of Fairbairn and all of that. Will they do on this occasion as well? Through the first corner, it is Fairbairn trying to attack Sid Smith for what is third position on the road, but it's McNeely having a bit of a look, more of a defensive one from Cooper Webster as the two Fortec drivers here, the 62 of Colin Queen, fourth in the championship actually, trying to make his way past the number 27, his teammate of Ruhan Alva. Here we go then, that's almost another look once again from Cooper Webster to the inside of Liam McNeely, not able to work his way through this time.
Not quite, there must have been a slight overlap going into turn 3 Palmers, we didn't see that, but Cooper Webster now looking up the inside of the Agostini hairpin, and he's made that move stick. That's another exceptional move on the brakes. Cooper Webster clearly feeling confident diving in late into those hairpin corners, both at Wilson and Agostini.
So excited, he nearly hoofed that chair out of the commentary booth. So that was, again, brilliant move from Cooper Webster. This is what I mean, his reverse grid races, he is actually really, really solid. Yes, I know he had that retirement, but he's trying to keep his podium streak up at the moment. He is on 6 consecutive podiums. He's trying to make it 7. The previous record was 5, done by 2 people, of course. One was Jack Sherwood. I forgot his name there a sec. I was thinking of the racing number, 78. It's my number, he stole it. But Jack Sherwood, of course, and Tom Mills has done it a little bit. There was a bit of side-by-side in the background, though.
Yeah, that was one of the Evans GP cars. No, that was actually Lucas Blakely having a look up the inside, or must have been of Queen, but not quite managing to get that done.
I think it might have been Ruhan
Alva, because Queen and Alva swap places. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Certainly had a look. There is Lucas Blakely. He's been building in confidence this weekend. Still needs a bit more time. I don't know if we'll see him out again this season. Certainly has been great for him. Ruhan Alva. He catches it. He does catch it. Lucas Blakely's going to be able to come through in all of that. That was a very, very big slide indeed. Back then to the battle for second position. Kulkarni has gone. He's 2.2 seconds clear at the moment of the field. You can see him coming through the foregrounder shot at the moment. And Sid Smith. And look at this move from Cooper Webster. Straight down the inside. Oh, it is perfect once again on Fairbairn. It's as if I'm watching a driver playing against F123 AI.
Yeah, he's I don't know how he brakes so late and still yet makes the apex. Like, he didn't even wash wide in the middle of the corner. He's clearly, as I said, dialed that car and the brake bias and everything in, and he's feeling confident. There's no chance he's got newer tyres than anyone else, because he took his new tyres and race 1 this weekend.
Again, this is the thing, is he is the threat for Kulkarni. Whilst Kulkarni's run away, he's looking in his mirrors thinking, great, everything's perfect right now. Clifford's not the problem. Sid Smith's not the problem. Cooper Webster in 4th position is the problem. For any of you Adi Kulkarni fans, I mean, he's a very, very smart guy. I mean, I was talking to Ollie Dutton about some of the sort of grades and stuff that he's getting from school and such. So it's like, yeah, no, okay, that's why I'm the idiot in the commentary booth talking, and he's the smart driver out there racing. He is an incredible talent. We'll see what he can do at the moment as he's leading the race. Here comes Cooper Webster around the outside of Sid Smith. Tick, there goes another one. 2 in 1 lap.
He's braked so late into Brundle that he's actually ahead by the time he's got to Nelson and has got time to come back to the left-hand side. He is absolutely on fire in this race, and I think it's only a matter of time before he catches and passes Clifford in 2nd place and moves forward. We've still got 10 minutes of the race to go, Lewis. We're not even halfway through.
He's in position to win this race. Genuinely, this could be Cooper Webster working his way up. What did he start? He started in 11th position, so that would be 10 positions gains. That would be 10 points plus 25 rather for a race, 20 rather for a race victory. So it'd be 30 points. He's having an excellent weekend.
Cooper Webster's last lap was a 50.0. That's 4 tenths faster than Kulkarni in the lead of the race, while overtaking 3 cars. 3 cars?
I think it was 2.
2 cars. And normally you lose time when you make an overtake, but such is the speed advantage of that Evans GP car of Cooper Webster that he is absolutely romping away. The fastest lap actually sits with Tom Mills at the moment on the back of this group, who we're just seeing there. So I expect Tom Mills to come through as well and potentially challenge for a podium by the end of the race, but he's not quite had the pace in this race of Cooper Webster. Is Cooper Webster going to have a look now? Yes, he is coming very, very late into Agostini hairpin. He's got that nailed. Again, didn't even miss the apex. No. Not a lock-up, not a squirrel, literally sent it in, like turned in early, braked in a straight line, got the apex done, he zoomed away, and he's already gained, what, 3 or 4 car lengths?
That's again beautiful stuff. He's got 2.4 seconds then to clear up to Kulkarni. Now, whilst Tom Smith is seeing the driver that's second in a championship march his way through, I think if the title race was closer, you would see Tom Mills working his way through with a lot more aggression. Right now, he knows he doesn't need to risk anything. He knows, getting a podium here is decent, maybe getting inside the top 5. He's just sort of trying to secure his points, not lose out a ridiculous margin, get some points onto the board for himself without overthinking it. He's a smart driver, the reason why he's leading the championship. Meanwhile, Cooper Webster's got nothing to lose here. He's keeping up his podium record at the moment, as here comes Liam McNeely trying to get down the inside of the number 87 of Jeremy Fairbairn. Not able to do so on this occasion. This could open him up, though, for a move potentially from Tom Mills. Thankfully, they head through Coram, and there might not be a move quite on the table unless Mills is feeling very racy into the final corner at Murray's.
I think you're quite right, Lewis. I don't think Tom Mills needs to risk a huge amount, because even if Cooper Webster does win this race, Clifford's gone off at the last corner and lost himself some time, but even if Cooper Webster does win this race, Mills will still have a very, very healthy lead in the championship. Over 3 race wins at least.
Wow, he picked one way and then had to go back the other one because of McNeely's defence there. Now trying to go up and under through T1. McNeely in the 48 Fox Motorsports car, that more orange vehicle, the white, blue and orange, taking that defensive line as Cooper Webster now sets the fastest lap of the race of 49.737. Tom Mills trying to find his way through. There's almost contact between Mills and McNeely as they depart the hairpin. Colin Queen's quite close for comfort. They head into Palmer. Once again, a look to the inside from the number 21 of Tom Mills. No move just yet. Let's see if he can copy and paste what he's seen from Cooper Webster in the distant foreground as he's trying to look for his way down the inside. It's covered off beautifully from McNeely, who's going to hit the apex at Agostini and is able to hang on to 6th position.
That's good defensive driving from McNeely there, because he was far enough over the left-hand side that Tom Mills thought, if I stick to the outside, McNeely might sort of be lured into a false sense of security, and then I can duck back to the inside. But McNeely was far enough left that he covered that off, and now, because of that good defence, he's dropped back off the back. Mills has dropped back off McNeely and is now actually looking like he's under pressure from Queen behind, who's actually come into the back of this group in the last few laps.
Yeah, certainly has. We'll talk about other gaps that are closing. On the previous lap, when Webster set that fastest lap of a 49.737, he closed in by half a second to Kulkarni. I think it's closer to a second on this lap alone. And bearing in mind how quickly he's been able to work his way through people, I know Kulkarni is going to put up a very strong battle indeed, but surely this is looking really strong for Webster.
Lewis, you are quite right. It's been a second this lap already. Sector 1, 4 tenths faster from Webster. Sector 2, another 4 tenths faster from Webster. It's going to be at least almost, or probably about a second by the time they come over the line. We'll see in just a moment. But while that's going on, we've still got an amazing fight all the way from Clifford in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place, all basically nose to tail.
Well, across the line they'll go. The gap goes to 7 tenths. It was 1.4 seconds faster. That is a mega lap time, a 48.9 from Cooper Webster. I think he's definitely winning the Sunoco Fastest Lap of the Weekend award, as there's Liam McNeely looking down the inside of Fairbairn. Look at this from Tom Mills as well. He's going to try and get involved in the mix as they head through the hairpin. Not able to do so. McNeely making the move. Mills going to go to the outside of Palmer. That's a risky one.
Yeah, that was really risky from Mills, going up the inside very late into Wilson, but then goes right around the outside of Fairbairn and turn 3. That's an excellent manoeuvre, and he's also now got a good run, so he's putting pressure on McNeely. Wow, what a move.
Yeah, have that. That's his old teammate that he's just flown his way past. That'll feel good, I'm absolutely sure, for Tom Mills. He's made his way past Fairbairn. Colin Queen also in the mix. Liam McNeely, who has been second in the championship for so long. Big slides there through Hamilton from the Fox Motorsports car, and Tom Mills now having to defend a little bit from Fairbairn, who I'm sure will want to get one over his old teammate. 5 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the race. Should be roughly 3 laps of racing action as Kulkarni continues to lead. but we know that gap will have been absolutely decimated. It's another fastest first sector from Webster. He comes across the second sector. It's not fastest because he's now getting held up by the wake, by the dirty air that's being kicked off the rear end of Kulkarni's car.
Yeah, this is an excellent drive so far from Cooper Webster, and even if he consolidates his position in second place, he will be taking a whole heap of points home with him. 20, what was it, how many for second place? I think it's, let me just have a quick check. But regardless of where he finishes now, it's been an excellent drive, but he'll be looking for that win, and it'll be a second win of the weekend, which will be amazing. So for second place, 17 points. For first, it's only an extra 3 points at 20, but of course, Cooper Webster's come from 10th on the grid, 11th, I think it was.
11th on the grid.
So he's currently +9, so that would take him to 17 plus 9 is 26. So it would take him to. Hey, look at that, you know. Oh, it's side by side now once again. Mills looking around the outside of turn 1 at Rich is not going to do that, having watched the GB3 races, as we've seen people come a cropper there, quite literally into ending up in the crops. But now the battle between Sid Smith and Jack Clifford rages on for third place.
Yeah, of course, you know, Sid Smith being in that position, he wants to grab himself a podium. It would be his first podium in the championship, as McNeely still takes that defensive line as we head up towards Palmer as well. I do think for Kulkarni had that podium in the previous round at Donington in the final race, so it wouldn't be his first podium. So for Sid Smith, he's desperate to get himself on the board. Harry Burgoyne Jr., another one of those drivers that's missing out from it, but he's a lot further down. He's not quite made the most of this race, unfortunately for him. So close for the race lead. Kulkarni looking for his first victory. Sid Smith looking for his first podium. He's got championship rivals behind him fighting out as the likes of McNeely and Mills are trying to work their way through. There's bits and bobs of drama. It's all building up to quite the crescendo over the final 2 laps of this race. With 3 minutes and 50 seconds, there will only be 2 more. Note how Webster has not been able to pass Kulkarni quite as quickly as he did the previous few.
Not quite yet. Potentially he's taken a lot out of his tyres with the ridiculous pace he had in the first part of this race. And also, as soon as you get into the sort of half a second margin, which is exactly where he is now, you start to struggle a little bit with the dirty air. He will be looking to push on, and you could see visibly when Kulkarni was on his way down the Bentley straight on towards Brundle and Nelson, he was looking at his mirrors. That's a mistake from Kulkarni out of the last corner. He lit the rear tyres up, had a slide, and that is going to make him vulnerable down this long centre straight over the start-finish line. This is the best opportunity Cooper Webster's had for the race lead. Is going to the outside.
Oh, it's going to be a risky one, though. We've seen this not working out too many times, but Cooper Webster's going to send it in. He's going to give it a go. Kulkarni's coming off the racing line just a touch, but he hooks up to that second apex. There's still side-by-side heading down to the Wilson hairpin. How late on the brakes can Cooper Webster go? That 37 to the outside. There is contact between the two. Kulkarni drives it in too deep. I know race control will take a look at that afterwards, but still, Webster wants to win this one on track. He's going to take a look down the inside of Palmer. That will irritate the Australian.
Yeah, definitely. He was all the way alongside. Kulkarni had to brake late, potentially just running ever so slightly wide. Wheel-to-wheel contact. They were lucky to come away with that unscathed, but that is not the fight done yet. Webster outside of Agostini. Can't get it done. Cut back. Not this time, but the pressure is mounting. This is a great showing from Kulkarni. This is a very, very valiant defence because he hasn't had a chance to defend for a lead this season yet, but he's doing well so far. Defensive again into Oggies. Potentially didn't need to do that, but he's still managing to hold the position.
Again, it's that experience type thing that we were speaking about when we were watching Lucas Blakely in the previous race, defending sometimes where you don't need to. He's gone out wide though, heading on to the Bentley straight, knowing how late and how confident Cooper Webster is. This surely is the move. He's going to go to the outside. You can see there Kulkarni was looking into the mirrors, waiting to see when Webster pops out. We head down towards Brundle. He sends it in deep. He sends it in hard. And the number 37 Evans Grand Prix car, they've won once already this weekend, and it is Cooper Webster to the front of the field on the penultimate lap here at Snetterton. That was a fantastic move to cap off a fantastic drive. He now has one final lap to do here at Snetterton, and it seems like it might well be a victory lap.
Well, that was the third time he's done that exact move in this race. Again, breaking around the outside of Brundle and then puts you on the inside of Nelson. All credit to Adi Kulkarni for a valiant defence so far. Hang on. So I think he's celebrating already. Why is he celebrating? Oh, I think he thought that was the end of the race, but he's still got one more lap. Don't lift off, Cooper. You've still got one more lap to go. But yeah, he'd already practiced that a couple of times, braking late and around the outside. But Adi Kulkarni, a really good defence, his first opportunity at a race win. And that is Liam McNeely with the front wing damage.
Front wing damage on that Fox Motorsports car. Of course, he was involved, embroiled in a tense fight with Tom Mills, with, of course, Sid Smith. Sid Smith's dropped back, so I'm assuming he's gone into the back of Sid Smith, who was looking for his first podium. And that would be battle between the teammates as well. Ooh, oh, God. We'll hope against that. Maybe there was something else involved in all of that. Let's see if Tom Mills can grab himself the final spot on the podium. It's Jack Clifford presently in that position. But yeah, Clifford, by the way, speaking of people without their first podium, Clifford is also on that sheet. He is yet to get a podium himself.
Clifford will be very happy with this, although Tom Mills, his teammate, won't mind nicking that off him if he gets a chance. He'll be trying to claw any championship points back that he can. We've Cooper Webster's only got one thing to manage for the rest of the race, and that is getting past Thomas Lee safely, who is right in front of him. But yes, that is disappointing for Liam McNeely on the last lap to have contact. We didn't see that on camera, but there we go. Thomas Lee doing well to stay out of the way there. But what a drive. And the cherry on the icing on the cake was that last lap when he took the lead. He set the fastest lap of the race, a 49.8 as well.
That's how hard he committed going into the likes of Brundle Nelson. I mean, again, Cooper Webster is flying. Then through the final corner he'll go. He opened the weekend with a victory. He's had 6 consecutive podiums. Scratch that off and make it 7. The 37 of Cooper Webster, he's practiced victory already, but this time he gets to cross the line and wave his hand in the air properly. It is Cooper Webster taking victory here at Snetterton, and that's his 2nd win of the weekend. Kulkarni put up a great fight, and there's a tight one across the line. It is no first podium for Clifford. His teammate denies him. Mills across the line in 3rd place, and it's Clifford behind, then Queen, then Fairbairn, Blakely into 7th position, so a decent effort from him as Alva, Burgoyne Jr., and then of course the issues for Fox Motorsports, McNeely and Smith down there. The front wing damage, I mean, it's kind of like you're sat there thinking there was definite car contact there.
Yes, we didn't see the incident. It's purely conjecture at this time, but yeah, it looked like potentially some contact between the teammates fighting along with Mills. But what a drive. What a drive. Probably the drive of the year so far from Cooper Webster. From pretty much the back of the grid, the 2nd last row. He's passed almost every single car on circuit. The only car he didn't pass on circuit was Dylan Hodgkin.
Yeah.
Because he passed every other car to take the win. He was the fastest car on circuit by quite some margin, almost a second. In fact, he was the fastest lap by at least 6/10, so that's an amazing drive. But also, I do really feel for Jack Clifford, who got his podium taken off him by his own teammate.
Yeah, it was very, very tight, just 0.2 of a second that Clifford finished behind Mills, but of course behind Kulkarni and Webster. Webster taking his 2nd victory of the weekend. Kulkarni in 2nd, taking another podium, and then Mills. Clifford in 4th with Queen in 5th. Then we get Fairbairn, Lucas Blakely in 7th in his final race of the weekend. We'll see if we'll see him any more in the season. Ruhan Alva in 8th. Harry Burgoyne Jr. unfortunately not having the good end to the season we were expecting. Liam McNeely with that front wing damage dropped back. Sid Smith, Thomas Lee and Dylan Hodgkin after that issue between Lee and Hodgkin on that very first lap, finishing down the order. Big shames for them. But big stuff for Cooper Webster. Now, if Tom Mills didn't have a big championship lead, I think there might be some concerns now for Cooper Webster, because he is finding his feet. That is 7 consecutive podiums. It is 2 race victories, and that means in the last 7 races, because he finished 2nd in the previous race, that is 7 consecutive races where he has finished 1st or 2nd. He's not finished 3rd. When we're speaking of the consistency of like Max Maserati last season, this is a different level. He is a different beast right now, is Cooper Webster. And like I say, he just seems to have clicked with that Evans Grand Prix car. The GB4 is being turned up by Cooper Webster. He's pushing Tom Mills to his limit, but of course there's only 3 weekends left to go in the championship. Maybe he's clicking a little bit too late, but it's showing exactly the form that the Australian has. Obviously into Parc Ferme, into the 1st position for the 2nd time this weekend. For the 1st time today though, because of course he didn't win the previous race. He won on Saturday. He's had 2 pole positions, fastest laps galore, 2 race victories, 3 podiums. Again, I mean, it's been a brilliant weekend. Although I will say, Tom Mills, I know obviously maybe he got a bit lucky with some of the drama stuff that happened ahead of him, but you've got to remember that he was taking his time coming through there. He wasn't making any risky moves. He wasn't doing anything crazy, and he still finishes 3rd. That is why he's a championship leader, and that's why he's a championship leader by that kind of margin. There is Adi Kulkarni. Of course, Fortec, they'll still be happy. All the engineers, all the mechanics, Nick Taylor, his driver coach, who was saying about, will all be still relatively happy with the event, but it'll be disappointing to come away 2nd. He did put on a good display to try and fend off Cooper Webster, though. it just wasn't quite enough. I do agree with Piers as well. It was sad to see Jack Clifford being denied by that man there. Tom Mills coming out on top in that little fight, grabbing third position away from his teammate. Maybe we'll see how he feels about it. We'll see how the race leader feels though. After his second victory of the season, it's John Jackson catching up with him.
Thanks very much, Lewis. I mean, that was just described on commentary, Cooper, as the drive of the season. I mean, you went from 11th to 1st. There's only one driver you didn't overtake, and that's because he was already out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a good race. Yeah, I don't know. I think I drove really well, and I think the key to getting to the lead was getting through the field quickly. And yeah, I had to pull off some moves that I hadn't pulled off like in this car before, but I tried it and it worked for the whole race. So yeah, no, it was tough. Like first couple laps, I made contact with another driver, and then made contact to trying to pass to the lead. So it wasn't easy, but it was so much fun.
You must be quite pleased because, as you say, you did get through the field very quickly, but then it took you a while to get past Addy, but actually your patience paid off.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much patience because it was just hard to follow, and I think Addy was quite fast, so once I got behind him, it was hard to follow. But, I did my best, and then he made a mistake, and then that's when I went for it, and yeah, it worked out good.
How many podiums is this in a row now? What, 6?
I'm not sure. I'm not counting, but everyone tells me it's currently the record. But
yeah.
I'm trying to think about that and just try to put on performances like that.
Look, we've got to move on, but obviously a lot of people staying up late to watch back home. Do you want to give them a message?
Yep. Yeah. Hello to everyone. They're definitely up. It's like 3 or 4 a.m. there. So thanks so much. And you was worth staying up for that one. So yeah, thanks.
Excellent stuff. 7 podiums in a row, I'm being told in my ear. Congratulations, Skip Webster with Evans GP. Your race winner, second race win of the weekend as well. Very impressive from him. Now, where am I going now? Coming right back. Oh, here we go. Adi Kilcarney, I mean, you did so well to lead for so long, and that was an epic battle with Cooper. But I mean, you probably don't know this, but like some of the driving he was doing to get through that field was incredible. And you held him off for by far the longest, but sadly it wasn't to be. But still P2.
Yeah, the problem is when you have such a big pace difference, it's really hard to hold them by, but I did my best trying to hold him up for a couple of laps, especially around the outside here, but after all, it was a really good race and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the team at Fortec to have a trophy at the end of the weekend, but also great for you. P2, you go away, we've got a bit of a break now for 6 weeks, we come back and I mean, you're still going to be, I'm sure, thrilled for that result.
Yeah, I really want to thank the team so much for their help because all the rounds so far I've missed all the testing because of my exams, so I've been driving straight into quali, and here we had a problem where I only got 1 lap in, so from the back foot all weekend to come away with silverware is really enjoyable.
Yeah, so going forward, no more exams?
Oh no, Monday is my last one.
Okay, well best of luck with that. Congratulations for P2, Adi Kilcarney with Fortec. Let's go, there he is, Tom Mills. I mean, Tom, I'm going to do this to you because I think it probably was about that much there. Jack Clifford was, pretty comfortably third, and then you came along.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him. Sorry, Jack. I just got a mega run. I managed to, because of the headwinds, I was able to sort of turn underneath him at Corham, and then I did like the best last corner I'd done all race with like trying to cut back, and just with the toe, obviously it's really windy out here, so I managed to just get on. And then we got to side by side, and it was staying the same. Then I was like, is he going to come back? But yeah, I just managed to get it. But yeah, I couldn't take the risk Cooper was early on. Like there was quite a lot of moves into the hairpins where he was lunging from a long way back. But I just couldn't risk, so he managed to get through the traffic a lot better than me, and I had to bide my time, wait for a few mistakes in front of me, and yeah, thankfully my patience paid off and I managed to end up with another podium.
I mean, you come away with a huge championship lead, which must be really, really positive for you. And also, Kevin Mills Racing, formerly known as now KMR Sport. Your dad's going to be quite happy on Father's Day. What a great gift for him.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, Dad. Thanks for everything you do.
You don't need to get him a card now.
No, I didn't. Anyway, I forgot. I was so much thinking about this weekend and stuff, but yeah, no, it's great result for the team, and yeah, it's just a shame I took the podium away from my teammate at the last on the line.
Hey, look, his time will come. Congratulations, Tom Mills. Great weekend for KMR Sports. Lewis McGlay will talk you through the final podium of the weekend here in the GB4 Championship.
I'm sad I took away the podium from my teammate. Why did you take it then? No, of course, it's racing at the end of the day. He had a good drive. It was a good race between the two of them. He's not just going to lift off and let Jack Clifford come straight back through. That is not how it works. That's not how you become a championship leader. I'm sure there's good feelings within the team. Jack Clifford was showing some decent pace, just not quite enough to beat Tom Mills out in all of that. Cooper Webster taking the victory though. And again, fantastic 7 podiums on the bounce. What a ridiculous record. I said before this, the previous record was 5, and I know I'll say it, I'll just keep talking about it because I think it's very impressive. It's odd though that it's not ever really the championship leader that gets those records. Of course, last year it was Jack Sherwood who came into form late on. This year being Cooper Webster is not the championship leader, whilst Tom Mills has had some decent consistency. I think it's, when you start protecting the championship lead, you don't start getting all of those big podiums consistently. But the race that he didn't finish on the podium, he finished 4th in the last few. When it was at the final race of Donington Park. So that shows the consistency that Tom Mills has got. 3rd at the moment, and so the championship lead still is slightly reduced from the 86 points he came into it. It'll probably be around about sort of 78, 77 after this. Kulkarni onto the podium. We've seen him there as well. And then Evans GP onto the top of the podium. Cooper Webster for the 2nd time this weekend on to the top. And also, if you include his results from Silverstone, I know he's at a retirement in the final race there after contact. I think it was at Copse. The other race that was that weekend, he did finish in 3rd position as well. So if you really want to go too pedantic on it, it's 8 podiums in the last 9 races. And I did say on the broadcast, I guarantee he'll get the Sunoco fastest lap of the weekend award, and certainly so. He's been really, really fast. He's been setting some excellent lap times. Piers said in that race he had the fastest lap by 0.6 of a second, showing his dominance this weekend. But let's take a look at highlights of the final race. Highlights from round 12 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Kulkarni had a great start from the front row, beating out Jack Clifford on that race down towards the first corner. Sid Smith as well, defending for 3rd position from Fairbairn, but it was Ruhan Alva trying to get around the outside to take 4th position as they would head down towards the hairpin. A decent start for Kulkarni was seeing him check out into the distance, but a bit of a lock-up from his teammate Ruhan Alva would allow Fairbairn to also come through, and nearly Liam McNeely as well. There was contact though into that hairpin on the first lap, a bit further down between Dylan Hodgkin and Thomas Lee. Lee into the rear end. Lee would still go as he would come back in to repair the front wing, but unfortunately for Hodgkin it would be a retirement. Cooper Webster was putting on an absolute masterclass on how to get moves done around the Snetterton circuit, getting past Fairbairn, later on in the race getting past Clifford and up into 2nd position with a lovely move into Agostini, and then 2.6 seconds he had to close down to get to Aditya Kulkarni. He'd try a couple of times. The first one was down the outside of the first corner. That one wouldn't quite work out, courtesy of Kulkarni sending it in a little bit too deep, a little bit of contact between the pair of them, and it wasn't the position there. However, by the time they got down towards Brundle and Nelson, it was the Evans GP car of Cooper Webster sending it in hard. The 37 would take over the race lead on the penultimate lap of the race. Kulkarni denied at the last few moments. There was obviously a little bit of infighting behind, including Tom Mills and his teammate Jack Clifford. They finished in 3rd position, Kulkarni and then Cooper Webster taking the fantastic victory. And of course, we'll head down into the paddock area where Piers Pryor is catching up with the drivers.
So we're down here with some post-race reaction. We've got Harry Burgoyne Jr. Harry, it was a tough end to the weekend. I know that race 3 didn't go quite to plan, but looking at the positives from this weekend, you had excellent pace in quali, and race 1 was really good as well.
Yeah, this weekend we've been fast in practice and qualifying. Race 1, the last 2 races today, we struggled a little bit with a bit of pace and me with the starts.
Yeah, but you've definitely made a step forward, I reckon, in yourself and also as a team, because the pace in qualifying has been, much better than we've seen previously. What do you reckon the difference has been?
I think it's me just moving on a bit more confidence in myself, and Jeremy as a new teammate just helping with a bit of data, except from comparing to myself. It's helpful him comparing different drivers, because see where he's faster, where I'm faster, and stuff like that.
where did you find the time when you looked at the data between your two of you? Where have you found that extra bit and piece? Is it braking? Is it corner speed? Or is it a bit everywhere?
Just a bit everywhere. He was quicker in the first sector than me, and then by the end of yesterday, we were the same, so it was a good move on from where we were at the start of the weekend.
Brilliant, Harry. Well, it's great to chat to you. Well, of course, we're going to see you out in about 6 weeks' time at Silverstone once again. So good luck for that. Thanks for chatting to us. And I believe we have Lucas Blakely. Thanks, Harry. Lucas Blakely. Lucas, come on in. Come on through. You've got your own mic. Look at that. Furnished with your own mic. Lucas, just in a couple of sentences, sum up your first race weekend in the GB4 Championship for us.
Can I have a few more than a couple of sentences?
Try. Yeah, go on then. Go on.
Yeah, it was. First of all, it's been such a privilege. I never thought I'd ever get the opportunity to go racing like this. So, first of all, big thanks to KMR Sport and SD team for making this weekend possible. Because without them, this was never on the cards. So, you know, first off, hats off to them. And yeah, it's been a heck of a weekend. The highlight was definitely quali, because I never in my wildest dreams did I think, you know, hopping in the car for the first time on Thursday, around Snet for the first time as well, that I'd get P4. So really, I'm going to savour, I guess that's the highlight for me. And yeah, I've enjoyed the experiences, whether it was the highs or the lows, whether it was race one, or I enjoyed every bit of it, you know, trying to learn and get up to speed as quick as possible. It's been a privilege to be here, and yeah, I tried to savour that in-lap at the end of that race there.
Yeah, definitely School of Hard Knocks a little bit, because of course you're, in regards to the grid, very inexperienced in the real world. And of course, we know how good you are in a sim, but it is different. Just tell us, you know, some of the main differences you found jumping into a real race weekend with no experience.
I think also just the way you build into the weekend as well. I mean, on the sim you have a lot of time as well on your hands, whereas I felt like I was just having to develop as quick as possible from Thursday onwards. And yeah, it's obviously you can't replicate the speed. I mean, that's what I've missed from sort of my karting days, is that adrenaline, that speed that you get, especially around Snetterton, where you have, you know, turn one, where, you know, especially at the end of that race there, the rears were, so yeah, the car was alive. Yeah, and it was such a good fun to drive these cars as well. Very different from anything I've driven before, but something I'd always sort of dreamed of, even just for years. And if you told me 9 years ago when I had to stop go-karting that, you know, you would be racing on a GB4 weekend, you know, here at Snetterton, I would, yeah, not have believed you. So I'm very, first of all, just grateful for the experience, and I hope that I, you know, did all the people that have supported me for all these years, and of course, you know, across the course of this weekend, proud, because yeah, I gave it a lot to do as well as I can with the time that I had. So.
Yeah, I think you've definitely done yourself proud. You've got a lot of supporters at home that have been putting in the comments, and I think you've done a really good job. The word, you know, what everyone's wanting to know is, will we see you back? We'd love to, and the championship would love to, but do you know at this stage, or is it all in the air?
Well, I only found out about testing on Monday, and then, you know, then I confirmed it on Tuesday, drove here Wednesday, drove the car for the first time Thursday, and you can see where this is going. Yeah. You know, Friday I found out I could race, Saturday, you know, and then Sunday obviously now. So it's all you just don't know in this world. You know, what I ultimately try and do is I try and grab every opportunity that I've had, especially when it comes to getting back into real world racing, whether it was, you know, driving at, you know, events earlier this year, or all that sort of stuff. So I'm just trying to enjoy the experiences when they happen. And yeah, I sort of treated this weekend as if it was the only time it was ever going to happen. I wanted to really, really savour it, especially on that in-lap there. I just wanted to take it slow, enjoy it, and embrace it, because you know, it's a dream come true to even have got to race, and I hope that I did, as I say, everyone that supported me proud, because I tried so hard to do as well as possible. Ultimately, I would have maybe liked a little bit better results in the races, but ultimately I'm glad that, you know, when I look back, obviously next week at this weekend, I'll, you know, be able to say, you know what, given that was my first time, I think that, you know, P4 in quali and the pace in the races as well, and just not giving up even after race one when I had to avoid a collision, you know, spinning round, and I didn't get emotional. I just head down, get the engine going, and I didn't give up, and I just wanted to keep chasing the dream, which is sort of what I've adopted that saying with my dad when I was younger going go-karting. So
yeah, you've shown your pace, and it's been a pleasure to have you in the weekend. We hope to see you back some point later this year. We'll let you go and celebrate the weekend with the rest of your team. Thanks for chatting to us, Lucas, and hopefully we'll see you again. Jonas.
He did better than I thought he would. You know what? Before we were talking, I know he was sort of to make sure he made everyone proud. I think he did incredibly well there because to come into this championship and just do that with the little notice that he told us about there is absolutely incredible. I've just been chatting to Tom Mills while you've been chatting there, and obviously incredible weekend for him. He feels so incredibly bad for Jack Clifford, his teammate, because
clearly not that bad because he took the position.
No, yeah, well, he said if Cooper was behind, maybe it would have been a different story. But you know what? It was all on that last corner. Tom, a little bit more experience. He was telling me about made sure he was in the right place, and Jack maybe a little bit. Bit of nerves there, with a third place finish just ahead of you, just managed to not get it quite right. But you know what, he feels so bad, but that's racing, isn't it? I'm sure you've been in positions where people have just about gone past you. Of course, obviously Piers Pride never loses, so Piers has actually never experienced being overtaken.
Done my fair amount of losing, mate.
Yeah, of course. A great weekend, as I'm sure you'll agree. We've had 6 amazing races across the GB4 Championship and the GB3 Championship as well. A little bit of a break now. What is it, 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 weeks.
6 weeks till we're back at Silverstone. It's been really, really interesting actually to go back to a track where the drivers in the GB4 and the GB3 Championship have already driven, because a lot of these rookie drivers have that bit of experience now. I don't think it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. So thank you very much for watching. You can catch up with all of the race results, any amendments that may come. It can still happen on the GB3, GB4 website, obviously the social media as well. Make sure you keep up with all the drivers. If you've found a new favourite driver that you've really enjoyed watching this weekend, make sure you follow them, support them on social media, and we'll see you in 6 weeks' time at Silverstone.